Hello, my name is John Murphy, a senior planner with the City of Bellevue Transportation Department. Today I'll be talking about a project to reduce the speed limit on most local streets in Bellevue from 25 to 20 miles per hour. The purpose of this presentation is to share why 20-mile-per-hour speed limits are proposed, talk about the project details or scope, and how you can learn more. Most importantly, our project webpage listed here on this slide, along with a QR code, are the best ways to stay informed on this project. As mentioned, we are proposing to lower the speed limit on most local streets in Bellevue from 25 miles per hour to 20 miles per hour. We're doing this because speeding is far and away the #1 concern we hear about from residents in Bellevue as it relates to traffic safety. And safe speeds are a cornerstone of our city's Vision Zero effort, which strives to achieve zero fatalities and serious injuries on city streets by 2030. Ultimately, lower speeds create safer streets as lower speeds reduce risk and serious injury if struck by a vehicle. Ultimately, a lower speed limit on our local streets in Bellevue represents a culture shift that safety starts on your street. Speeds in Bellevue are managed based on the type of street it is. There are two main types of streets in Bellevue, arterials and locals. Arterial streets are those higher volume, higher speed streets that connect to major facilities such as freeways. Arterials are managed by our recently completed speed management plan, a first for the city that really focuses on identifying where there is prevalent speeding on our arterial network, but also identifying countermeasures or ways to mitigate for those high speeds. At the local street level, we have a long-standing traffic calming program and toolkit that identifies 30 so tools to address speeding concerns on local streets. A little more about how we manage speeds on our local streets. Our traffic calming program has been around for nearly 40 years, and we've learned a lot during those 40 years, and we've built a lot in the city. We built hundreds of radar signs and speed humps, raised crosswalks, extensions, medians, and we do this because we hear directly from our residents. This is a very resident-driven program, and they've let us know that speeding on local streets is the #1 concern in their community. We work directly with our community to identify the best suite of options to manage or mitigate for speeds on their street. And we really try to layer on as many tools as we can or as is appropriate for any particular street. It often takes a multifaceted approach to identify many tools to try to address speeding on local streets. And we really look to revise and add to our toolkit on a regular basis. These are some visual representations of our traffic safety toolkit. The heart of our toolkit, the infrastructure that we build is what we call things that modify the streetscape. Those are those speed humps and radar signs and raised crosswalks that you see scattered across the city. And on the right side of the slide are maps showing the distribution of our radar feedback signs. These are signs that display the speed that you're driving as you pass it. And we found that these installations reduce speeds on average about 3 miles per hour following their installation. On the right side, this map is a distribution of all of the traffic calming features that we have built over that 40-year history here in the city. And we really have radar signs and traffic calming tucked into every nook and cranny, every neighborhood in the city of Bellevue. This is a widespread concern, speeding on local streets, and we really try to respond accordingly by working with the community to build the right tool for the right street. As we are always trying to expand our toolkit and really respond to those resident concerns about speeding, We have been looking at lower speed limits in Bellevue for a number of years, and we'll talk a little more about that. But ultimately, what is at the heart of this project is lowering the speed limit on most local streets from 25 miles per hour to 20 miles per hour. This represents about 64% of the streets in Bellevue, so a lot of the streets that people live on and drive on would see a lower speed limit. There are a few local streets that may remain at 25 miles per hour where that speed limit is a bit more appropriate. And ultimately, this does build on three 20-mile per hour speed limit projects that have already been deployed or implemented in the city and have proved effective. What this project entails is primarily changing out the existing speed limit signs that we have around the city on local streets. We have about 365 existing 25 mile per hour signs. Obviously, if we lower the speed limit, we will need to make sure that the signs reflect that 20 mile per hour speed limit. And as part of that work, about half of the posts that we have in Bellevue that support these speed limit signs are not up to our current design standards. So in addition to just changing the speed limit sign itself, we would be bringing about half of our sign locations up to our current design standard to make sure it meets our post detail. We also have what we call 25 mile per hour pavement marking legends scattered throughout the city to reinforce the speed limit. These are plastic materials that are kind of burned into the pavement to reinforce the speed limit. We would change these out to 20 miles per hour to reflect the new speed limit. And one piece of feedback that we've already gotten on this project through a community survey is that these are popular installations. In a citywide survey, about 85% of respondents indicated that they really like having these pavement marking legends to reinforce the speed limit. Where possible, we are looking to do some strategic installation of new signs. In addition to where we have existing signs, we would be installing a few more to reinforce the speed limit. Ultimately, what we do with any transportation project is make sure that what we are doing is effective. So there is an evaluation component associated with this project where we would measure before speeds before we change the speed limit and measure the speeds after we change the speed limit to make sure that we are seeing the desired benefit of reduced speeds. There is funding associated with this project coming out of the 2016 voter-approved transportation levy, and the estimate, which includes design and construction, is estimated to be about $500,000 for this project. The city of Bellevue is not alone at looking at or considering 20 mile per hour speed limits. It is a local and national emerging safety practice. The map here shows some example agencies that have gone to 20 miles per hour. This is not an exhaustive list, but some of these cities shown are either our neighbors, as the case is with Seattle, which has a default 20 mile per hour local speed limit, or they have similarities or characteristics similar to Bellevue. St. Louis Park, a suburban city outside of Minneapolis, shares some characteristics with Bellevue and has recently gone to 20 miles per hour. Ultimately, this is an emerging practice across the country and really channels that culture shift of safety starting on your street and lower speeds save lives. As mentioned, we have deployed a 20 mile per hour speed limit in 3 neighborhoods in Bellevue. For the last 4 or so years, we've been deploying and learning what a 20 mile per hour speed limit in Bellevue looks like, whether it's effective, what the community feels about it. We went to our first lower speed limit in the Surrey Downs neighborhood in 2020 along the East Bellevue Greenway in Northeast Bellevue and Lake Hills in 2021, and then our largest deployment to date in the Eastgate neighborhood in 2022. And what we learned in each of these installations is that when we changed the signs from 25 to 20 miles per hour, it brought down high-end speeding. That was a universal finding across these three projects. In East Bellevue, there were some other treatments that were installed as part of the Greenway, some wayfinding for people biking, traffic circles. But when we asked the community what was your favorite change along the Greenway, the lower speed limit was the most favored. In Eastgate, that largest example, uh, about 60% of survey respondents thought that safety was enhanced as a result of the lower speed limit, and we saw a sharp decline in the people traveling 30 plus miles per hour, that high-end speeding that I described earlier. And as mentioned, we have gotten some community feedback about those pavement marking legends, and there is strong support to retain those pavement marking legends to reinforce the speed limit if it does go down to 20. Because we have tested 20-mile-per-hour speed limits in Bellevue, we've learned quite a bit. In addition to the signs bringing down high-end speeding and general community support where they've been implemented, we also know that the community has some questions with a 20-mile-per-hour speed limit. The two questions that have come up every time that we've tested the 20-mile-per-hour speed limit is, will they be enforced, and can we still get traffic calming? Can we still get speed humps and traffic circles and radar signs? And the answer to both of those questions is yes. Staff have been coordinating with police on the change to lower speed limits. And ultimately, the best way for people to request enforcement on any Bellevue street, a local street, an arterial street, a 20-mile-per-hour street, a 40-mile-per-hour street, is to submit a traffic service request, which is linked to on this screen. And ultimately, we do have a commitment to continue to build traffic calming on local streets if the speed limit does get reduced to 20 miles per hour. The city is committed to continuing to build and work with the community those popular traffic calming interventions that we've been doing for 40 years here at the city of Bellevue. This work to lower the speed limit to 20 miles per hour is just beginning. In February 2024, City Council directed staff to begin outreach to let the community know about this project and answer any questions that the community has. That is one of the intents of today's webinar. We plan to go back in June 2024 to the City Council to let them know what we've heard from the community and take a proposed ordinance for their consideration that would actually be the mechanism to lower the speed on Bellevue streets. At that point, we would begin design to change out all those signs. Spring of 2025, we would begin working with a contractor to start the implementation, and what the community will actually see is in August 2025 is when the speed limit signs will actually change. This is a draft project timeline. It is subject to change, but the takeaway is that signs will likely change on streets around summer of next year. As mentioned, this is just the beginning of letting the community know about this project and answering questions. We'll be popping up at select farmers markets this spring to share more information about this project. There's an exciting interactive map found on the project website listed below. We recommend that people subscribe to our transportation news so they can stay apprised of this project and all things transportation here at the City of Bellevue. And if this project webinar didn't answer all the questions, staff are available for project briefings to community associations, HOAs, or any other community group. Contact information is on the project webpage. Just go there, contact us, and we'll set something up. There's a lot more information on that project webpage. You can leave a virtual comment. There are frequently asked questions. There are links to maps and other resources that will really help answer a lot of the questions you may have on this project. So scan that QR code, bookmark that link, subscribe to those transportation news blasts, and you'll be kept informed of this project as it moves forward. Thank you for your time today.